The secret garden. Once upon a time, in a grand, old house on the Yorkshire moors, there lived a spoiled and lonely little girl named Mary Lennox. Mary had spent her early years in India, ignored by her parents and cared for by servants who indulged her every whim. But when a terrible illness swept through the household, Mary was left orphaned and sent to live with her uncle, Mr. Archibald Craven, at Misselthwaite Manor. Misselthwaite Manor was a vast and mysterious place, filled with empty rooms, long corridors, and an air of sadness. Mr. Craven, grieving the loss of his wife, was a reclusive man who rarely spent time at home. Left to her own devices, Mary wandered the estate and stumbled upon tales of a secret garden. This garden, once the pride and joy of Mr. Craven's late wife, had been locked and abandoned for 10 years after her tragic death. Mary's curiosity was piqued, and she began to explore the grounds in search of the hidden garden. One day, she befriended a kind old gardener named Ben Weatherstaff and a cheerful robin who seemed to lead her to the clues she needed. Following the robin's guidance, Mary discovered the key to the garden buried in the earth and the hidden door covered in ivy. When Mary opened the door and stepped inside, she found a neglected but enchanting garden, overgrown with weeds yet brimming with potential. Determined to bring it back to life, Mary began to tend to the plants, pulling weeds and trimming bushes. Her time in the garden brought her a sense of joy and purpose she had never known before. One night, Mary heard strange cries echoing through the manor. Following the sound, she discovered a boy named Colin, her cousin, who had been kept hidden away in his room. Colin was frail and believed himself to be too ill to ever live a normal life. He had been shielded from the world by his father's grief and his own fears. Mary, with her newfound confidence and vigor, refused to accept Colin's fate. She convinced him to join her in the secret garden, assuring him that fresh air and nature could work wonders. At first hesitant, Colin eventually agreed and was carried outside in his wheelchair. The garden became their sanctuary, a place where they could escape their troubles and embrace the beauty of the natural world. As the days passed, Colin's health and spirit improved dramatically. With the help of Dickon, a kind and nature-loving boy from the moors, Mary and Colin transformed the garden into a vibrant, blooming paradise. Colin learned to walk, gaining strength and confidence with every step. The garden's magic seemed to heal not only their physical ailments but also their hearts. Word of Colin's transformation eventually reached Mr. Craven, who had been traveling abroad in his grief. Drawn back to Misselthwaite Manor by a vivid dream of his late wife in the secret garden, he returned to find his son healthy, happy, and walking proudly through the garden he had once abandoned. Overwhelmed with joy and gratitude, Mr. Craven embraced Colin and Mary, realizing that the garden had brought new life not just to them, but to him as well. The secret garden had worked its magic, turning sorrow into hope and isolation into love. From that day forward, the garden was no longer a secret. It became a cherished place for all who lived at Misselthwaite Manor, a symbol of healing, growth, and the transformative power of nature. The end.